On today's Visual Studio Toolbox, Mark is going to show us how we can tell Visual Studio what to do. Hi, welcome to Visual Studio Toolbox. I'm your host, Robert Green, and joining me is Mark Miller. Hey, Mark, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much, Robert. I'm glad to be here. It's great to see you again.
It's been a bit since you were here.
Sure.
And we are going to talk about some really cool things you can do in your development life in Visual Studio using voice. And no, this isn't an episode on inventive swear words you can use when things aren't going your way. That's not what we mean by voice here.
It's a different episode, Robert. We're not doing that kind today.
It's a different episode. It's like a serial. So, Mark, introduce yourself a bit for folks that maybe haven't seen you in a while.
Okay. My name is Mark Miller. I work at the IDE Tools team at Developer Express. I am obsessed with efficiency and great user interface. So when I took this idea of integrating voice, it was with some high standards in terms of can we make it so that you can use voice and actually have a lower cognitive load when using Visual Studio. That was the approach. I manage the CodeRush team at Developer Express, and the product that we're looking at is a pre-release of CodeRush. We expect the release to come out by February 1 of 2024. And that's your intro, I guess.
Cool. So a lot of people using CodeRush. It's a free edition, free extension add-on to Visual Studio?
Yeah, no charge at all. I'm making no money at all from this public appearance, Robert.
Excellent. I love it. All right. So let's see what we're talking about.
All right. Let me do this. I'm going to bring up just some slides really quickly, and we're going to just give you an overview of this. So we're talking about using voice as a first-class user interface element inside of Visual Studio. Access to any of the Visual Studio commands. There are like 3,000 plus of those commands that ship with Visual Studio. Dictation. Dictation is useful for any kind of display text, like inside a string or for XML doc comments, for example, and creating code. So we're going to kind of look at those three pieces. The features, in some cases, some features are more efficient, faster than a keyboard and mouse. I'm going to start with the killer feature. So if you're watching this and you're thinking, okay, Mark, you better impress me. I'm about to impress you. This is the one.
Save all files. Is that one?
Yeah. No, it's not that, but sure, you could create that. Absolutely. Okay. But it is the killer feature. There is nothing that comes close to the killer feature from keyboard or mouse, and I'll show you in a moment. It also features contextual listening modes. So based on what you're doing in the code, the understanding of what you're trying to do with your voice changes. Okay? As a result, your cognitive load is lower and significantly lower than typing, especially if we're talking about long amounts of text. And it's deeply integrated in Visual Studio. And I'll show you that. This is my to-do list of things I want to show you. I'm going to jump right into voice commands here, and I'm going to open up the source code to CodeRush, which is here. Over on the Solution Explorer, you can see the size of the thumb there is as small as it's legally allowed to get. But there are about 100 projects, actually 169 projects, and about 15,000 files inside of here.
Wow.
And I want to open one of those files. But I don't know the name of the file. Or I'm sorry, I know the name, but I don't know where it is. How can I get to it very quickly? Now I'm going to cheat a little bit because I see a file right over here, Tool Window, Show Results. So all I do is I hold down the Control key and I say, Open, Show Window. Where is it? I don't see it anymore. I lost it. Hold on a second. Where is it? I'm going to say another one. I'm just going to grab one that I see. Open Generic Pattern Matcher. And that's the killer feature.
Nice.
Right? Out of 15,000 files, it almost instantly opens it up. There's one up there, listening feedback. Open listening feedback. And it's that fast, right? It's incredibly fast. There's no way to get the file open faster. If you have a large project, and also realize the larger your project gets, the harder the Solution Explorer is to use, right? That's why we've got the filter right up there, right? You've got the filter, but even getting the mouse to the filter is going to take time if you're going to go do that. Or remembering Control plus semicolon. It's going to take some time.
Right.
Now, one of the things that would be really good to point out right now, I'm going to hit a button here, and you can see over here on the bottom right, I've got this is a live view of my control and my control key and my alt key. And I want to show you what I'm doing here. I'm holding the control key down when I say a command. So I'm just going to say, hold this down. I'm going to say, open similarly sounding words. And it should open that file right down there. And there it is.
Nice.
Right there. So all I do, that control key right there, it means mic is on when I hold it down. So from a usability standpoint, really effortless, easy to use. You just reach, hold it down, and speak, and then it listens.
And you're just tapping into the commands that are available, and there's a language for all of those. So if you can write it in an extension, you can say it out loud and then execute it, right?
That's right. Hold on one second.
Wow. It's so brilliantly simple.
Yeah, it's even easier than that, dare I say. So if we go in here and we go to voice commands, for example, these are the different voice commands that come with it. And so I think somewhere in solution, I'm looking for
class. I love that one.
NuGet packages, we can just bind directly to a command, those kinds of things. So these features are all here, but the killer feature, the one that there's no comparison to, is open and then the name of the file. Okay. Let me switch over to something simpler, and I'm going to kind of, build some code from scratch here. I'll keep this up for a little bit, and we'll take a look at that as we go. So I've got a class out here called myCalculator. If we look at that, we have a property called model right there. And notice here, it says I'm working with calculator model 0.5. Let's change that. And I'm just going to hold the control key and the alt key at the same time. And I'm going to say myCalculator.model. And I'm going to release. Let me try that again. myCalculator.model. There it is.
Ooh,
right there.
Nice.
So contextual understanding of calculator, grabbing it, then understanding that model is actually part of it. If we were to change this to maybe modeler, like that, just to prove a point here, let's take this out. In fact, let's get rid of all of this. And I'm going to say model, but I think it's going to find modeler. Let's try it and see if it works. This method works with myCalculator.model.
Ooh, awesome.
Now we might want to take a moment just to take a look at what's happening here. I held down the control key and I spoke. Then I held down the alt key with it and said something. I said myCalculator.model. Well, it found modeler instead. What's happening is it's going into the IntelliSense, it's finding the pieces, it's understanding contextually that I've already said my calculator, and I can keep going. If modeler had other more properties, I can do A.B.C.D. Okay? And so I can do that inside of strings.
So if control gave you the string and alt put you in accessing the IntelliSense.
Control turns on the mic.
Okay.
Alt key means I want code for the words I'm saying.
Okay.
Whatever those are. That's what's going on. All right, so you've seen this thing. I'm going to get that or take that away. You'll be able to see that later if you want to. Now let's go look at add two numbers together. Nothing's happening yet on here. We should maybe implement that. I guess for right now, let's just say, let's go ahead and keep the return 0, but let's put something out here, console write line. So I'm just going to say adds name of num1 plus name of num2. And I might even continue that, and I might say to get num1 plus num2.
Wow.
Right, okay, and so I can dictate simple expressions. By the way, I know we probably don't have time for this Robert, but this stuff is not trivial. Being able to take a string of words and understand contextually what they mean, not easy. And that's why it says in the UI, simple expressions.
Yeah.
Right? So simple expressions, a reference to a symbol that's out there, maybe some simple math, things like that. That simple expression constraint, I expect will widen as we go forward in time. But right now, that's the constraint. So I've got this, add two numbers together. I've got modeler. Let's rename this back to model. Or maybe I'll rename it to something else. Now I've hit my rename key in Visual Studio. It brings up the Visual Studio user interface. I'm going to hold down the control key and I'm going to say the new name of what I want it to be. I'll call this my model string.
Nice.
Yeah, let's hold for a moment to take a look at what it just did. No spaces, so cool. Right? No spaces at all. In fact, let's start this with a lowercase. Let me rename. I'm just going to start it with a lowercase letter like this. And I'm going to rename it again. Now it starts with a lowercase letter. And I'm going to say my supermodel string. And notice it keeps the lowercase letter. Yep. Right? So it sees what your syntax is when you're doing a rename. It changes it. You see the UI right appears as I'm talking, so you can see the mic levels. You can see what it's thinking, what the context is that it's thinking, that sort of thing. Let's change it back to model. Model. Oh, and I should change it back to an uppercase M right here. Whoops, let's do the rename so it changes everywhere. Okay, let's go look at add two numbers together where we're calling that. We're calling it from here. That's in my main app. I think I've also got a test. I do. Next one. This is also a cool feature, but maybe not killer, but cool. Have you ever noticed that Visual Studio has a number of tool windows?
Yes.
It has over 100. There's a bunch here. There's a bunch in here. And when you're debugging, there's even more. Over 100. If you want a tool window now with CodeRush and the voice, all you have to do is hold down the control key, say show me, and then the name of the tool window, whatever that tool window is. Would you like to prompt me with a tool window? And we'll try it out and see if it works.
Oh, let's see. Watch window. Let's see the watches.
Okay, I can't do watches unless we're debugging, but let's debug. Okay. Let's debug. Let's do it. And we'll do it. So we'll start this up. Did I hit run or debug? It failed. I didn't hit. Let's debug it. All right. By the way, if you're wondering about those icons, that's part of CodeRush. All right, so we're here. And now let's do this. Let's say, show me watch one. Remember, there are 4 watch windows, and it's appeared. It's just over on the other window. Let me drag it back over here. And there it is right there. We can close it down and bring it up again. Show me watch one. There it is.
Cool.
There's watch 2, watch 3, watch 4, right? Who has the individual shortcuts for those 4? Probably no one in the world. And yet now all of a sudden the access to these is now much, much easier. You want to bring up the immediate window, you just say, show me immediate, like that. And there's the immediate window. Okay. You want to bring up your NuGet package manager? Show me NuGet package manager.
Now that is cool.
Or that's the package manager console. The NuGet package manager is a separate all-in-one command. It's NuGet package manager is what I think it is. That's what I created for it. NuGet packages.
NuGet packages for solution, maybe?
I'm not sure. No, I don't think it's that. I think it's just NuGet package manager. Okay. Oh, I just took it out of debug mode. I'm not sure if that has any impact on it. And I was also in the test case program. Okay. I'm now moved over to the main. I'm going to do it one more time. NuGet package manager. Says NuGet package. Oh, there we go.
Oh,
so it did work. It said it got it, but it didn't bring it up because we were debugging, I think, is what happened. So anyway, we're here. Cool. Now that I'm here, I can go search for something. Let's look for dependency injection. Like that.
Nice.
So notice I'm using voice in any text box. Any text box in Visual Studio, I can use voice in. and it's contextually aware of what text box it's in. For example, if I bring up the search and I'm in a code search, I might say, you know what, let's do this in the big project over here. We'll do the same thing. We'll do it over here. Okay, and over here, I'm going to say listening feedback, like that. And here, it creates a single word for me, right? Camel case.
Mm-hmm.
But over here in feature search, if I say the same words, listening feedback, it gives it to me as two different words.
Nice.
So it has a sense of where you are in Visual Studio. This is what I mean by having these distinct contextual listening modes, right? And deeply being integrated with Visual Studio. Okay, back over to the simple. Actually, you know what? I want to pause for a second because I feel like sometimes I come at you like a fire hose or a fire hydrant just broken, and I want to wait for a moment and just say, how are we doing, Robert? Are you okay?
So first of all, this is amazingly fantastic. If it wasn't for the fact that it would take my attention away, I'd be installing it right now and playing with it. So I think this is cool. I can obviously think of dozens of scenarios when I would use it, and it's nice to have the opportunity. So you said it's in preview right now?
Yeah, it's in preview and it's expected to be released in February.
And does it work with any Visual Studio? Does it work only with 2023 with the current preview?
I think it's going to be 2019 and up, something like that. So it works with like the last 3 major releases.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if there's something I would like it to do, but it doesn't do it yet.
Let's do it. Let's do it right now. Here we go. So let's say, for example, we go into Tools Options. We can look in Environment, Keyboard. And if we look for the Options command, you can see there's a Debug Options command. And I thought there was a tool. Yeah, there it is. There's a Tools Options command. So I have 2 different Options commands. It would be nice if when I'm debugging and I said the word options, that I got the tools options. I mean, the debug options. And otherwise, I just got tools options. So let me show you how we can build that. So I'm just going to go into voice commands, and we'll go into IDE here, and we're going to add a new one. And the words to say is going to be just options, real simple like that.
Oh my God.
And the command is going to be debug.options. This is what was in Visual Studio. And under context, I'm going to just type in the word debug here, and I'm looking for debug mode. If debug mode is true, like that. Now I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to, same words, I'm going to say options. And now instead of debug options, I'm going to bring up tool options. I think it's what it is. Is it tools.options? Maybe it's tools.options. I think that's what it is. And then down here, we're going to grab that same debug mode, but we're going to say not that debug mode. So we're going to put a little exclamation mark in front of that to mean the opposite. So now I have 2 that I've created. When I'm in debug mode and I say options, we'll go to the Visual Studio options page for debugging. Otherwise, we'll just bring up whatever last page we've been on.
Okay.
So now with that there, I should now be able to hold down the control key. I'll give you the view here. Hold down the control key and say options. And we're here on the keyboard page, which is the last page I was in. But now if I set a breakpoint and we run it, and now I say, hold down the control key and say options, options. We're on the debugging page, right? So, so same dialogue, but on a different page for debugging because I'm actually debugging and it makes sense. So I have one simple command that gets me to these different places. So the question is, if there's something you want it to do and it doesn't do it, it's actually highly configurable. And you can get it there.
So I can pick the 10 things I always do, like add new folder. I do that one all the time. I actually have a voice command for that. So if we come in here and whatever I have selected here, let's bring this up so you can see it. If I say add new folder, should work already. It's going to work. Come on, baby. New folder. There it is. It's right there. And then I would then right click on that and say add new. I do a lot of Maui apps. Add new content view.
Okay, so there we would have to create that for you, right? We'd have to create that, or when I say create that for you, you have to find the Visual Studio command and bind it.
But I could add that, right?
Yes, you can add that. What's really cool, now here's the other thing, I didn't talk about this, but this is actually super cool. What I just did, the add new folder, let me delete that a second. I'm pretty sure, am I debugging? Yeah, I am, I'm debugging. Let's stop that. Show me Solution Explorer. Okay, so let's look at the new folder. Let's delete that a second. And we'll come back in, and now I'm gonna hold down the control key and say, please can you add a new folder for me? Come on, baby. Come on, baby.
Oh,
there.
Nice.
So when you define this, let me show you what it takes to do that. When you create a new command, let's search for that, new folder. Here, you can check this box, and this box says allow semantic equivalence. What's beautiful about this is you no longer have to memorize an explicit command, all of the individual words. You also no longer need to get them all right. In other words, voice recognition doesn't have to be perfect either, right? So if I say new folder, but it thinks I said new folded, I don't know, right? It'll still find this and go, right? That's what's really, really cool about this, right? You can create flexible, context-sensitive commands.
That is so cool.
Can I show you one more quick thing before we wrap up? All right, let me go over here to calculator. Let's create an XML.comment. Now, XML.comments, sometimes we want to reference things like num1, num2, that sort of thing, and maybe the class name my calculator. So watch this. I'm going to hold down the control key. Let's give you the view again. I'm going to hold down the control key while I talk, and when I want to reference something, I'm going to hold down the alt key. So I'm going to say, this method adds num1 to num2 and returns the result. It's part of the myCalculator class. And now take a look at what it builds for us right here. Notice it understands that num1 and num2 are parameters, and that calculator is something I can see also. The amount of time saved to create a high-quality XML.comment is huge if that's important to you, if you like that. What's cool about this, right? Look at this. As soon as I do this, I come over here. Look, it's got what I just said with the highlighting, right? Because num1 and num2 are param refs, and there's the myCalculator class, which means if you're generating documentation, you get the links in there.
Right.
Right? It's pretty cool.
I can see how this winds up saving you a ton of time, because if I want to add a new view to a Maui app, I got to call up the Solution Explorer. I have to move the mouse to the project name, right click, and then scroll down to add, and then wait for that to show up, and then scroll over to new folder, click it. And then when I want to add a new view, I got to right click on that, add, new item, wait for that to show up, then make sure it's in the right place, then go find content view, click on that. Or if I want to pair to my Mac, I got to remember where pair to Mac is. I think it's under tools. Yes, it's under iOS and then pair to Mac. So there's a lot of time spent staring at the menus, waiting for the next thing to appear. And then the one I constantly lose time on is the comment and uncomment, because I don't always know if that toolbar is shown up, and if that toolbar is wide enough to show me the icons for comment and uncomment, and then where are they? So if I could just say comment, and uncomment, then that just winds up saving me a ton of time.
Yeah, are you talking about commenting? You're talking about commenting code and uncommenting code, is that right? Yeah, you can even use CodeRush context to say, well, I need to have a selection for this command to be valid. And so that it'll make sure that you have a selection before it even tries to execute or even listen to that, which allows you to then have something that also sounds like comment doing something else when there's not a selection.
Right.
Like maybe create a new comment. the technology is perfect for features you don't use all the time, but still you use some of the time.
Right.
Because those are the features that you generally don't have the commands memorized for.
Right.
Right? And you probably haven't gone and created shortcuts yet. Right? And so this is perfect in that space because it allows you to continue to be relaxed while you're writing the code. Because the other thing that happens, Robert, when you're doing all of those precise clicks and waiting and clicking, is your cognitive load is up and focused on what you're doing. And it's whatever you were thinking about before you realized you needed to go through these steps, you're losing that a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Because you're focusing on this other stuff. And the longer that takes, or the more maybe I clicked on something on the wrong thing, the more that happens, the more your cognitive load goes up and your emotional state goes up. And what's really cool about voice is that in general, I find my cognitive load is low, right? It's like I'm free again, right? I can just say, open the file. Right? And it opens because it would take me forever to find it otherwise. And I would lose track of what I was trying to do because I was fighting with the UI to try to get it open because I've got 15,000 files.
Yep. That is so cool. So where do we get this?
You can get it from the Visual Studio Marketplace.
Okay.
If you search for CodeRush out there, I'll send you a link that maybe you can include with the description here in terms of where people can get it.
Absolutely. Or I can just go into manage extensions, type CodeRush.
Make sure you get the one for VS 2022.
CodeRush for 2022, and I download it. There I am. I'm downloading it right now. Okay, now I can use it just for this, and of course I can take advantage of all the other things that CodeRush does as an editing tool, which a lot of people use and a lot of people love.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's a lot more than just voice.
Right.
But this whole CodeRush is like a sandbox for me to explore kind of the art of feature discovery for developer tools, right? So I have this idea. Let's see if we can really make voice easy and beneficial. And so I get to play in that space. And so as a result, CodeRush has a lot of these tools and ideas for writing code faster.
And then if people have suggestions on how to improve this feature, where do they go?
Probably the best way to do a suggestion to us is support@devexpress.com.
Okay.
Because we'll track it. But you can also, put a suggestion out in the leave a review part for CodeRush, where you can talk about those things that whatever you need, that sort of thing.
Yeah, not necessarily. I don't necessarily want the whole world to know a feature I want. I mean, I guess if I'm looking for help.
Robert, if it's you, send it to me. Send it straight to me.
Well, I can, but our the viewers. So support at coderush.com, you said, right?
No, support at devexpress.com.
DevExpress. Okay. All right. Cool.
And if you kids want to reach out to me and talk to this old guy, it's Mark M at devexpress.com.
There you go.
Yeah. Also, by the way, I do live streaming, Robert, on Twitch at twitch.tv/CodeRushed with an ED at the end. And I'm live there every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And you can pop in and ask me questions live.
Sweet. All right. Well, thanks for coming on the show. Good to see you. This is amazingly cool. I'm going to start using it right away.
Thank you, Robert. I'm so happy to be here.
Just a fantastic feature. I love it. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed that even half as much as I did. And we will see you next time on Visual Studio Toolbox.